So when we talk about angles that add up to 180 degrees, these are called supplementary angles. So those angles form a straight line. 180 degrees just goes straight across. So you can see that these two angles are supplementary. They add up to 180. This BAC and CAD together, they form this line BAD. That's 180 degrees. So here I'm asked what the supplements of these angles are. It's basically asking what angle with that would add up to 180 degrees. So you can subtract this from 180 to find the remaining part of the straight line that would form. So 180 minus 70 would give us 110. 90 subtracted from 180 would give us 90 again. Those are congruent angles. And 154 subtracted from 180 would give us 26. Alright, so this is just an example of that in picture form. We have BAD, this whole thing is 180 degrees. BAC, this pizza slice part of it is 40 degrees. We don't know what this big opening is, but we know that it's the remaining part of that 180. So we're just going to subtract that from 180 degrees, and that tells us that it is 140 degrees. So here we have basically just three algebra problems with supplementary angles. So again, we have to consider that supplementary angles are going to add up to 180 degrees. So when we're setting up equations, basically you're going to be adding the two things and setting it equal to 180. Two supplementary angles have measures of 2x and 3x. We want to figure out what x is. So they're supplementary. That means they have to add up to 180 degrees. And that means 2x plus 3x would give us 180. We would then combine like terms. That would give us 5x equals 180. You can then divide by 5, and that gives you x equals 36. And we can make sure that that's true by plugging back into 2x and 3x. 2x would give us 72. 3x would give us 108. 108 plus 72 is 180, so they are supplementary. That means 36 makes sense for x. Same kind of thing on this next one here. We're just looking for the value of x and the unknown angle, so we're really looking for this angle and the value of x. Well, we know that this one and this one together add up to 180 degrees. They form a straight line. They form this straight line together. It's 9x plus 40 and 50 degrees together. So those two angles added together, 9x plus 40 plus the 50 degrees add up to this 180 degrees going straight across. We can combine like terms. That gives us 90, 40 plus 50. We would subtract that 90 from both sides. That gives us 90 on the right side and no constant left on the left. And we can divide by 9 as our last step, and that gives us x equals 10. Now to find the value of this angle, we really could do this two different ways. The easy way is just subtracting 50 from 180. We know that this whole thing is 180. This has to equal the remaining part of that 180. So we could just subtract those two, or we can plug in the 10 that we just found into this x. 9 times 10 plus 40, that would give us 130. Either way, that's 130. That kind of lends itself to another way to solve this. You could just set this equal to 130. If you subtracted that 50 right away from the 180, you'd find that this whole thing is 130. Just this angle is 130. So you could say this equals 130 and just solve that equation. On the last one, these two added together give us this straight line or a pair of supplementary angles. So those two added together equal 180. We combine like terms. That gives us 3x minus 6 plus 1. Combine like terms one more time, and that's a minus 5 now. It's negative 5 plus 1. Now we're going to solve the equation. We would add 5 to both sides. That cancels out this minus 5. That gives us 185 on the right side, and we have a 3x on the left side. This is multiplication. To cancel out this multiplication by 3, we're going to divide by 3, and that gives us a decimal, 61.6 repeated. So that is the value of x. The angles themselves, the right one's easy. That's 62.6 repeated. You're just adding 1 to x. I'd probably just subtract that number, 62.6 repeated, from 180, or you could plug in 61.6 repeated into x in that expression, multiply times 2, and then subtract 6, and you get 117.3 repeated. So at the bottom we have this phrase linear pair. It's really just another way to say supplementary angles. It's just supplementary angles that form a straight line. So it's really when we put them together. We could have these two angles completely separated. This one could be off on this side of the page and this one stays here. As long as they keep their same angle, it's still supplementary angles. This is a linear pair though. When we're squeezing them together and actually forming that straight line, this is another linear pair when we squeeze them together and form a straight line.